Very easy. Okay. So we are going to look at two different situations. One example is x, negative x plus 1, x plus 2, less than or equal to 0. And the second type of example would be x plus 1 over negative x minus 3 and x minus 2, let's say, greater than or equal to 0. Can anyone tell us what is the first one? What type of inequality? Obviously, it's an inequality. What type of inequality is the first one? Yes, indeed. So it's a polynomial inequality. Awesome. Can anyone tell us what type of inequality is the second one? Exactly. We just graphed them, right? Rational. They're very, very similar. Just a minor difference. So let's let's solve the first inequality. Here it is. Again, a table. This first line at the top is the variable. This does not represent any of the factors in the polynomial. Now, this is the first factor. Negative x plus 1 is the next factor. X plus 2 is the next factor. And the last one is the whole thing. X, negative x plus 1, x plus 2. X is the variable in the problem, which can go from negative infinity to infinity. At this point, I need from you three numbers. A number that makes this 0, a number that makes this 0, a number that makes this 0. Take your time and give me three numbers. And I would like them in ascending order. 0 is one number. Yes, for this one, obviously x equals 0 will be the number. For this one, negative x plus 1 equals 0, negative x equals negative 1, x equals 1. For this one will be 1, and for this one will be? Good. So we know the numbers, we wrote them on the side, and now from left to right, I need them in ascending order.
Negative 2, 0, 1.
Excellent. This is a crucial piece of information. They must be in ascending order. Okay, so for x, where do you want me to put a 0? Under which of these three numbers? Under 0. For negative x plus 1, where do you want me to put a 0? Under which number?
1.
Under 1. And for x plus 2, where do you want me to put a 0? Under?
Negative 2.
Excellent. Awesome. Now, please tell me what to write under negative 2 for the whole thing, under 0 for the whole thing, and under 1 for the whole thing.
So, negative 2.
Under negative 2, what do I put?
2? Oh, at the bottom?
Yes.
Oh.
One of the factors is 0. What could the answer be? This factor is 0. If you multiply whatever by 0, what do you get?
0.
Good. What will I write under 0?
0.
Of course. If any of the factors is 0, the product must be 0. You agree, everyone? Perfect. And under 1? Perfect. So now, as you notice, there are 4 subintervals. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Agreed? Perfect. So for x, before its x-intercept, pick a number, any number you want, plug it in, and give me the sign. Very good. After it's 0, pick a number, plug it in, and give me the sign. Excellent. For this number, for this factor, before 1, pick any number you want and give me the sign.
Oh, yeah. -1 plus 1. I cannot remember.
Very good. For this one. So plug in -10.
-1.
Good. Finally, remember, we are multiplying all these three factors. So on the first subinterval, I multiply two negatives. What is the sign of the outcome? I multiply two negatives, the sign of the outcome. Positive. We agree? Good. On the next subinterval, I have only one negative. What is the sign? On the next one, I have no negatives. And on the last one, I have a negative. Perfect. So now I go back and see what I choose. Blah, 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 less than 0. What sign is less than 0? Perfect. Is the product ever negative? Here and here, right? Can you give me the x values? X in the interval?
-2.
Very good. -2, 0, union. Exactly where the product is negative. Very good. Well done. Great job. In the same way, yes, Priscilla, go ahead.
When you were doing the negative x plus 1 and x plus 2, those rows, you were deciding whether or not they were
Positive or negative?
I don't understand. Can you do that again?
Sure.
So before 0, I plug in -100. It's negative. After 0, I plug in 100. It's positive. Before 1, I plug in -50, positive. After this, I plug in 50, negative. Before -2, I plug in -50, negative. After -2, I plug in 50, positive.
I would have to go through that.
Is this clear?
Would that be a bracket at the end of that?
Down there, no, that's a parenthesis because it's the infinity. Infinity gets parentheses, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Priscilla, is that okay?
Not really.
Can you give me a number before 0?
-2.
When I plug in -2 in x, what sign do I get? Negative.
-2.
Give me exactly. Give me a number to the right of 0.
2.
Okay, plug in 2. What sign do you get?
+2.
Before 1. Give me a number before 1.
Before.
-1. -1 with minus in front. It was 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's positive. It's just all about evaluating, like we did with 1.9 and 2.1. I just plugged it in.
But if you use a bigger number, then it'll be.
It doesn't number. It doesn't matter which number you want to use.
If you put -5 right there, it's gonna be
Which one? In 1, 2, or 3?
and 2.
Okay, -5 times -1 is 5. 5 plus 1 is positive.
You said -5. Oh, because it would be like solving for.
We're not solving, we're evaluating. -5 times -1 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So this is always positive, no matter what you do.
So -5 times. So for the last one,
You cannot plug in -2. You have to plug in a number before -2.
oh, okay, what do you
You cannot plug in this because you get 0. You have to plug in a number before -2. Is that clear? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, let's do the next one. You'll see the first example is always more difficult. It's understandable. So for the second one, I have x. I have x plus 1. I have -x minus 3. I have x minus 2. And then I have the whole thing. X plus 1 over -x minus 3 and x minus 2. Negative infinity to infinity. Which numbers would you give me to put in the table?
-1.
So for this one is indeed -1. For this one,
And then -3.
very good. -3 for this one. And for this one,
would be 2.
2.
So it'd be -3, -1.
Excellent. Yes.
Are you picking those numbers randomly, or are you picking them because they're
I set them equal to 0. I have to have the zeros. So x plus 1, let's write it. X plus 1 equals 0 means x equals -1. Negative x minus 3 equals 0 means negative x equals 3, or x equals -3. Is that okay? And for the last one, x minus 2 equals 0 means x equals 2. So we have -1, -3, and 2. So that's why we wrote -3, -1, and 2. I cannot pick them randomly. It's a very good question. I have to find the x-intercepts for all of them, where they are 0. Perfect. Yes?
Okay. I was gonna ask you the X one, but I said I forgot.
Is that okay? Very good. So now, in x plus 1, in the row for x plus 1, I have to have a 0. 1, 0, where? Under -1. For negative x minus 3, I will have 1, 0 under. Very good. And for x minus 2, I will have 1, 0 under. Very good. Now, be very careful because this is a ratio. It's a totally different story. Under -3, what do I write?
Under -3.
It would be 0 because no, well, your denominator would be 0, so it'd be under 5.
Excellent. Under -1, what do I write?
0.
Excellent, because the numerator is 0. And under 2, what do I write?
Under 5.
Exactly. Very good. Awesome. I need a sign for the first one. Please give me the sequence of signs. Plug in the numbers before -1 and the number after -1, and just give me the signs.
This would be -0.
Very good. Please plug in for the second one and give me the sequence of signs. Awesome. Excellent. And for the last one? Just plug in a number.
Because -3 minus -2 is -5.
-3 minus 2.
Or that's fine, I'm sorry.
So how do I know without plugging in any numbers? If it's easier for you, here's what I do. I don't plug in any number. So here's what I do. The first one is a linear function, x plus 1. Does it look like this?
Yeah.
Or does it look like this? Right. So where does it come from? From what type of numbers?
Negative.
And goes to,
Positive.
what about the second one? Does it look like this? Or it looks like this?
Yeah.
So it's coming from,
Can we do it off the sign of the leading coefficient, or is that not?
exactly, that's what I'm showing. Exactly. So the second one is like this. It's coming from positive going to negative.
Yes,
What about the
easy.
third one? It's coming from negative going to positive. The leading coefficient tells it all. Tells it all. Good. So I see again 1, 2, 3, 4 subintervals. On the first subinterval, sign please.
Positive.
Very good. On the next subinterval, I see 3 negatives. Very good. On the next subinterval, I see 2 negatives. And on the last one, I see a negative. Good. Now I have to decide what.
Oh yeah, I'm about
What
to
did
do
you see? Sorry, you were like, you said that you see 1 negative, and then because of that, a negative.
I multiply a positive by a negative by a positive. What will the sign be?
It was a negative. Okay.
I multiply a positive by a negative by a negative. What would the sign be? Because these are all products. The table doesn't work if they're not products or ratios. And then I multiply a negative by a negative by a negative. What will the sign be? And then I see 2 negatives. What will the sign be? Because the positive will never change anything. And now I have to make a decision. And this will tell me what decision I have to make. Which sign is greater than or equal to 0? What am I looking for? Good. Is this ever positive?
Yes.
Here and here, but I really need the x value. So then the answer would be x in the interval negative infinity to
Negative 3, sorry.
good. What will be left hand?
A parenthesis, a bracket.
Can I put a bracket?
Oh, no.
I cannot put a bracket. Very good. Union.
I would. Didn't you say we could not put the bracket?
It's undefined. I could never accept negative 3. It's undefined.
So would we put a parenthesis?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm with
But the one would, the negative 1 for the start of the
Yes.
next one would have the bracket.
of course, that's what I said, but I wrote something else. Thank you. My apologies. This is the end of the material for test
Okay.
2. And let's choose another problem.
I had one question.
Sure, yes.
Okay, you looking at prime because it's x plus 1 on top, why are we not looking at negative?
Because it says to choose x values that make this expression positive. I cannot choose the negatives.
Right, okay, alright, okay.
This symbol, yes, Priscilla, go ahead. Any questions? Any questions, please? Okay, but I'm trying to answer her question. So hold on, just 1 second. If you have anything, I'll get to you in this 1 second. Is that clear, Bree?
Yeah, because you're making it, equal
This is what the inequality says.
Right.
So I have to choose x values that make this expression positive, not negative. So it's positive when x is between these two. If this were less than or equal to 0, I would have chosen these two for these x's.
okay.
Better? Okay, good. Priscilla, yes. Sorry for the wait. Oh, okay. So that's the end of material for test 2. So let's look at a problem. Yes, of course. So here is, for example, 54 on page 441. So this is x plus 3. X minus 2 over x plus 1 less than or equal to 0. What type of inequality is this? And now if you are asking, okay, you showed us examples, real-life situations with functions, but you haven't really shown us when is this used. Functions, rational functions, fine. Okay, asymptotes, this and that. We saw the applications, but where does this come into play? Well, something like this comes into play when we want to find the domain of something like find the domain of function like f of x equals 1 over the square root of 4x squared minus 9x plus 2. And this is problem 62 on the same page. I think that these functions are way more sophisticated, and I think they're not really required in this class. When we get to the next one, which is 230, yes, I'm looking at these functions in more detail. But if I don't have this preparation, I may have difficulties here. So I don't think you're going to encounter a problem like this. If you do, please bring it to class. I need to show it to you. Okay, so those are slightly more doable, easier to work with. So obviously, first of all, this is all factored. Here I have to factor. Here I have to write 4x squared minus 9x plus 2 strictly greater than 0, and I have to solve this, and I have to factor it first. But here it's already factored. So I have 3 factors, x plus 3, I have x minus 2, I have x plus 1, and I have the whole thing, which is x plus 3, x minus 2 over x plus 1. And x is always at the top because x is the values. Yes, it's what x is. It's right. So please give me 3 values. And notice all these linear functions have a positive slope. I don't have to think, I don't have to plug in anything. They will all look like this. So you will give a negative 3,
Yeah, -1.
negative 1, and 2. Very good. Any questions? Yes. Lani, go ahead. Okay, any questions? Please, anyone? Okay, where do I put a 0 for x plus 3? Where do I put a 0 for x minus 2? Where do I put a 0 for x minus 1? Good. I'm hoping that you don't expect to understand absolutely everything from the very first example. First example is always a shock in a way, right? So you have to wait for the second and the third, and then everything should be very easy. Okay, so are we in the clear that all of them look like this and they come from negative go to positive because it's a linear function with a positive slope? So you don't have to plug in anything. If you keep that in mind, and you're done. But now I'm not interested in any of these factors by themselves. I'm interested in the whole thing. So I need something under -3, under -1, and under 2 for the whole thing.
So,
Under -3. Excellent. Under -1.
the line.
Exactly. And under 2.
0.
Excellent.
May I ask a
Count.
question?
Yes?
Now, how did you know what the sign was? Because you said it was a
Linear function with a positive slope. If you remember from the previous course and at the beginning of the class, we graphed linear functions with a positive slope. And we also know from the end behavior from polynomial functions, remember? Degree 1, odd degree, leading coefficient positive. So from -infinity to +infinity. Is that okay? Or forget about that, just plug in a number. Whichever you prefer, you'll get the same answer.
Okay.
So I'm multiplying or dividing 3 negatives. Sign. Excellent. I'm multiplying or dividing 2 negatives. Excellent. 1 negative and no negatives. Now remember, this tells me what to pick. This sign, this symbol tells me what to pick. Yes, I have to pick negative because only negative is less than or equal to 0. Okay, so negative I see here and negative I see here, which means here and here. So the question here, one more time, is asking us find x such that the inequality is fulfilled. So what will you write as the final solution for this inequality?
X in the interval -infinity to -3.
Do I include?
Bracket,
Yes. Union.
parentheses,
Yes, I cannot include -1.
-1, 2, bracket.
That's it. That's all you need to do.